Hello and welcome to Zen and the Art of the Guardian Sudoku puzzle for Monday the 11th of January 2021. Welcome to the new week. Since this is an easy level, you may have been brought here as a beginner. You may not know too much about Sudoku. It's listed as an easy level, so that means I'm going to be giving lots of basic instruction, basic ideas, and how to do Sudoku. If you're a more advanced player, it could be boring, or maybe you'll find something interesting. If you're a medium level player, you might find something useful here. Hopefully learning is never lost. And so I think I'll begin by just quickly explaining the rules of Sudoku if you're an absolute newbie. But you can see here we have a grid, large grid, and you can see that the grid is divided into 9 regions, sometimes called segments, sections, or sectors, or various names. I might use any of these terms. And we have squares within each segment, 9 squares within each segment. The aim of the game is to fill in each of the squares in the segment with the numbers 1 to 9. But there's a catch, and that is that these columns which go down the grid must also have the numbers 1 to 9, and each row must also have numbers 1 to 9. So that's the basic premise for Sudoku. It's quite simple in its original concept. It can be easy or tricky depending on various factors. For example, how many numbers you have to begin with, and also just whether particular numbers are difficult to find or not. But it's a lovely game, and if you haven't really tried it yet, I recommend you start, although it could take up a lot of your life if you're not careful. That's up to you. Let's not be obsessive about things. Let's be more Zen-like and try to think of a middle path where we can enjoy our Sudoku, possibly once a day, but not all day long, of course. So how would we begin? How do we approach such a puzzle? So one mistake of beginners is sometimes just to guess a number. Say, how about if I put a number 6 in here? And how about if I put a number 4 here, or something like that? And they just kind of try to guess randomly, and that won't work, because you'll soon find after a few more insertions that you have a conflict. Because remember, each number can appear only one time. There are only 9 squares here. There are only 9 squares in a column, and there are only 9 squares in a row. So that means you're limited in what you are allowed to do. So the way that we play it's a process of elimination. Basically, you find out which numbers can't be there, and then you are left with a number that can be there. It's a bit like in those old Sherlock Holmes. I'm not sure if it was in the novels or in the TV adaptations, where Holmes says, eliminate everything that's impossible, and what you're left with is the answer. I can't remember if that's in the books or not. I haven't read them for many years. But that's really how Sudoku works. So, for example, just looking at this grid, I can see lots of numbers. Look, there are only 3 numbers missing here, so this might be a good place to start. So we look at the numbers that we have. We can see we have 1, 2. We don't see a number 3 anywhere. 4, 5, 6. We don't see a number 7. 8 we have, and a 9. So we can actually know the missing numbers here have to be 3, 7, and 9. Those are the numbers that are missing. So how do we go about this? We know that 3 or 7 or a 9, a 3 or a 7 or a 9, 3 or a 7 or a 9. I can actually see that this 7 is very close, so it catches your eye. So because this 7 is in this particular column, it means it can't appear here. It's not possible. So 7 must either be in here or here. But if you look a bit further afield and look out to this row along here, you'll see a number 7 along here, right? on the right hand side. And if you extend this along this row, this number 7, you'll realize, well, in this row here we already have a 7, so that can't possibly be 7 either. So we know that there's no 7 allowed here, and there's no 7 allowed here, so therefore 7 has to be this number here. We know that already. Now, because we've just filled in a number, we've reduced our options. I mean, how the game works is you fill in more and more numbers and you're left with fewer and fewer options, right? So let's see now. Supposing we extend this 7 that we just filled in across this row. We know now, because we have a 7 here, there can't be any other 7s here, right? And we already know that there's a 7 across this row here, so there can't be any 7s in this row. So this row and this row cannot contain 7 in this box. So where are we left with? There's only one option, and that's here, right? No 7s, no 7s. So a 7 has to go here. So that's quite useful. If we follow this 7 that we just did up this column here, if we just continue along up, we'll notice something else. This square here, this region here, has 3 numbers missing, like this one. But this 7 extends up here, and so can't be in this column here or here, right? Or here or here or here, nowhere else. And so for that reason, we kind of block this column here, so we can see that 7 has to appear here, like so. We're on the 7s at the moment. 7s we're on a bit of a roll here. We're doing quite well. We've just filled in that 7 across there, and we actually have a 7 across here too. So if you imagine this row here is taken up with 7s, and this row here is taken up with 7s, but also if you look up here, you can see a 7 that's filled in already, and that blocks this column here, right? So blocking, blocking, blocking. This is the only location where 7 can go. We've actually almost finished all the 7s. There's one more 7 left that we haven't filled in this region here. Can you see where it goes? Have a quick look. You should be able to see by extending rows and columns, 7s along rows and columns, you should be able to see where it's missing. Have you got it yet? Do you see the 7 that we filled in before goes up this column and blocks this central square? This 7, which is already here, goes up and blocks this square. So this one and this one are blocked because of columns. And if we look in the 7 on this row here, which goes across here, well, we see it can't be this or this. This one is already blocked anyway, but it can't be this or this. So there's only one location. We're blocked here, we're blocked here, we're blocked here. That's the only place where a 7 can go. And guess what we've... Oh no, sorry, we haven't quite finished. There's one more. Sorry, I apologize. There's one more place for 7s. Sorry, we haven't got 7 in this region here yet. But we've got 7s everywhere else. And since we've got all of the other 7s, we must know where it goes. Because we've got 7s up in this column, 7s up in this column, 7s along this row, 7s along this row. By a process of elimination, there is only one place where 7 can possibly go, and it has to be there. I hope you followed that. And now we can forget 7. It's done. Now, is this how you fill in Sudoku every time? Answer, no, definitely not. This is not what we do all the time. This just happened to be the right way to solve the 7s at this particular juncture, but it doesn't mean that that's always the right thing to do. We don't necessarily focus on one number. You can't. It just won't work. But sometimes you can, and when you can, well, that's fortunate. So where do we go next? What do we do next? Well, we could look at this and this region and this region, because there are only 2 numbers missing, right? Here and here, there are only 2 numbers missing. And so maybe that means there will be fewer numbers to find. If we focus on this one here, this region here, and this 1 is very close here, and we look for a 1 in here and we don't find a 1 in here, well, then we should understand that number 1 is missing from this sector, Number 1 is in this row already and therefore blocks this square, and so number 1 has to come here, right? That's the only place. And now we have 8 squares filled in, so we must know what the 9th number is by just simply working through. We have a 1, we have a 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we have a 6 anywhere? No. Let's double check. 7, 8, 9 we have. So 6 is the missing number. Okay, no guessing involved anywhere here. Please don't guess the answers. It's the wrong way to do Sudoku. It will lead to unhappiness in life. How about this down here? We have, what's missing? Well, there are 2 numbers missing here as well. So we have 1, 2. Do we have 3? No. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one more number missing. That's a 9. So the 2 missing numbers here are 3 and 9. We have all of the other numbers. Actually, this 3 is pretty close. We can see what it is. This 3 is very close here. So we know that it cannot appear in this square. So therefore, this square has to be 3. And we just said the missing numbers were 3 and 9. And so we now know that that is a 9. It can't be anything else. Now, a moment ago, we looked at squares, regions that had 2 squares missing, and figured that because we have most of the numbers, that would be a good logical place to look next. Well, here we have a row that's almost complete. In fact, there are already 8 numbers filled in. There's only 1 more square to go. So we must know what it is, because it has to contain numbers 1 to 9. So we'll just look through. 1, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next number is 8. Do we have an 8? No, but we do have a 9 already. So 8 is the number that's missing from here. And we can fill that in like so. Now, one thing in Sudoku is that you have to keep lifting your eye from a particular area of focus and casting it around the grid. That will help you immensely as you get onto more difficult puzzles. Okay, so let's see where we should look next. Well, there are a couple of areas. This has 3 numbers missing. This has 3 numbers missing. It's either or. Let's maybe try this region here. In fact, this row is almost, this column, sorry, is almost complete, right? We have only 2 numbers missing, so we have most of the numbers here. We have 7 numbers filled already. We're looking for 2 more. So let's see what this one and this one have to be. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we have a 5? No, we don't have a 5. 6, do we have a 6? No, we don't have a 6. So the missing numbers are 5 and 6. So I want you to consider this for a moment. 5 and 6 are missing in this row. Now, which is which? We can tell, we can know. The answer is 5 must come here. Why? Because 5 cannot come here, because in this sector here we already have a 5. If you have a 5, you can't have another 5. So that eliminates it from here, which means that's the only possible location. So we know that that's the 5, and the other missing number in this column was 6. So we can fill that in now. There are 2 numbers missing in this region here. Again, let's count through and see what they are. 1, we have 2, no we don't. 3, yes. 4, no we don't. So the missing numbers are 2 and 4. 2 and 4. Let's look down here and see if anything helps us. When we look up the numbers here, 2 or 4, do we see anything? No. When we're looking for 2 or a 4 down here, do we see something? Yes, we do. We see a 4. We see a 4 in this column. So if we extend up like so, we know that 4 cannot appear in that column. So 4 must be here. And the missing number is 2. That's the only remaining number from this region. Okay, where to go next? We could look down here, we can look over here. It's really up to you. We could even look at this across the center. It's not so important, except that sometimes things kind of hit your eye very easily, I think. When you just kind of scan your eyes around the numbers, sometimes you see a lot of a particular number, and it can help you find the answer, at least some of the answers. Okay, I've just noticed that there's one of the numbers missing in this sector here is 1. We don't have a 1, but there is a 1 going up here like so, and there is a 1 going across here. So 1 is blocking here, 1 is blocking here, but there's also a 1 here, 1 is blocking here. So we're blocked, 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 means that a 1 has to come here like so. Now when we're looking for numbers in here, we can consider a couple of things. We can consider, is this the region or the column itself? We can do it in two ways. Now, if we think of the column, if we think of here, okay, we have 5 numbers missing, which is quite a lot. If we look at this column, we know that there are only 2 numbers missing. So we should be able to know what these 2 squares are, even if we don't know which way round they go. Let's just double check. We have a 1, yes. Do we have a 2? No, we don't. 3, yes. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The other missing number is 9. So what's missing from this particular column is 2 and 9. So let's look around. Does anything block our 2 or our 9? Okay, just look. And I hope you've seen that there's a 2 here. And so this 2 is blocking our 2 here. So the only location that's available for 2 is here. And now when we go along this column, we'll see that 9 is the other missing number. If you want to stop and check at any time, and I recommend that, it's quite good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got all of them. Okay, there are 3 numbers missing here, and 3 numbers, of course, the same 3 numbers missing in this quadrant. We can look at those if you like. Seems like a reasonable idea. What's missing? 1, 2, we have 3, no. 4, 5, 6, no. 7, yes. 9, yes. 8. Let's say that again. The missing numbers are 3, 6, and 8. 3, 6, and 8. Let's look at the top square. Is anything blocking here 3, 6, or 8? No. Next square. Is anything blocking a 3, 6, or 8 here? Well, certainly, yes. There's an 8 blocking here, so it can't be an 8, right? But also, there is a 6 blocking this square as well. Our missing numbers are either 3, 6, or 8, but we have an 8 and a 6 blocking, so what's left? It has to be a 3. Can't be anything else. And so our number down here is 3, 8, or 6. Not 3 now, sorry, 8 or 6. So now we have 8 or 6 missing from here. Does anything tell us which it is? No. And we have 8 or 6 missing from here. Does anything tell us which it is? No. So we have 2 numbers left in this region, but we don't know. We know the 2 numbers, but we don't know which way round they go. So we're going to write them in, like this, in pencil or in a different color pen or smaller numbers or whatever. And we call these candidates. Okay, so 6 and 8 are candidates for these 2 squares. That means they can go in there, but we don't know which way round they go. So we have 2 candidates. We'll come back to them later. We can't do anything with them for the moment. We don't know which is which, so we can forget that, and we'll come back to it at a later time. Let's look around here now, because I can see there are only 3 squares missing in this sector here. What's missing? 1, we have 2, 3. Okay, we have 3 missing. 4, 4 we have, sorry, 5 is missing, and 9 is missing. Okay, 3, 5, 9 is missing. Here, is anything blocking 3, 5, or 9? Yes, it is. We can see that this 3 extends across, right? So 3 can't come here, so 3 has to be here or here. So we're going to put in 3 as a candidate for this square or this square, but nothing else helps us, so we don't know which way round it is yet. Now the other missing numbers are 5 and 9, but nothing really tells us about that yet, so we're going to leave them for the moment. We're going to come back later because we have more than two possible locations for 5 and 9. 5 and 9 could come here, here, or here. It's not just only 2, so we're going to leave that for the moment because pairs are very useful when you're doing Sudoku, and numbers that are more than pairs are more difficult to deal with. So we are going to continue along somewhere else. Now, what we should look at is, we should have noticed that because we filled in these numbers now, there is only one number missing in this row. So we know what it is. We can find it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't have a 5. 6, 7, 8, 9 we have, so 5 is the missing number here. And guess what? It's quite fresh in our minds that a moment ago we said that 3, 5 and 9 were the missing numbers here. I hope you remember that. You will, when you're Sudoku, when you start getting more competent at Sudoku, you will remember which numbers are missing from a region. And so this 5, now that we just wrote in, comes down, doesn't it, and blocks. There can't be a 5 here or here. So there's only one possible location for 5. It has to come here. So we can write that in. And now what? Well, we remember we had a candidate here or here, which had to be a 3. And so we can immediately fill this number 3 in because we have removed the other possible location for it. Does that make sense? And if we want to double check, you can go 3 across here like this. Okay, so we can find out the missing number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The missing number is 9. Remember, when there is only one number missing, you can always find it for sure. Okay, where to go next? We could look along here. We could go up here, I suppose, but I have a feeling this might be the most fruitful region. Let's see if we can see anything. So we see, let's go through okay, there are 6 numbers missing. 4 if we consider that way, 4 that way, and 5 that way. Nothing particularly easy, so I think we'll look at this, go through the numbers the 6 numbers that are missing in this segment here. So let's start with number 1. We don't have a number 1, so let's consider we have 1 here, which is blocking this column, and we have a 1 on this right hand side, which if we extend across blocks this row. So blocking, blocking. There are 2 possible locations for 1, so what do? We write in our candidate 1. It means 1 might be here or here. It's not in any of the other squares, we know that. Let's go on a bit more. 2, do we have a 2? No. Do we have any 2s around? Yes, we do. We have a 2 here, so that means a 2 can't come in this bottom row. We have a 2 in this column here, which means it can't come here. So we're blocking here and blocking here. This location and this location, we can fill in our candidate 2. We don't know which way round yet. We'll find that later. 3, 4 we have. 5, do we have 5? No. Any numbers blocking? Yes. First of all, there's a 5 here, which means it cannot appear in this row. And there's a 5 in this column, which means it can't appear in this row. So what squares can it appear? Here or here. Now, don't worry that we already have a candidate 2 here, because 2 could be here or here, 5 could be here or here, but at this stage we don't know. We really don't know. If that's 5, that could be 2, or that could be 2, but we don't know for sure. If that's 2, that must be 5. If that's 2, these we don't know yet. 5 could be here or here. So you can't tell at this stage which is which. You just have to fill in the candidates and wait until we find more information. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do we have 6? No. but let's see, 6 is around. 6 along this bottom row is blocked. Okay, and 6 blocks this row here also. So blocking, blocking, 6 is available here or here. Now, I'm not sure, but you may have noticed something already. You may have noticed that 2, 5, and 6 are the 3 numbers. 2, 5, and 6 are 3 numbers, and there are 3 squares here in this row. When you have 3 numbers and 3 squares, that's all that you need. So actually, we already know what this number is going to be. But I'll come back to that later, because that might seem a little bit too difficult for absolute beginners. So don't worry if you don't get that bit just yet. Let's just keep going through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next number is 8. 8 is blocked here, right? You see it? 8 comes along this row. 8 is in the center, so it's here, blocked. So it's blocked, blocked. Where are the 2 possible locations? Here and here. So we're going to fill in our candidate 8. And the last number is 9. 9 is here, which blocks this row here, right? And 9 is here, which blocks this column here. The 9 is also here, blocking that one. So we are blocked, blocked, blocked. We know there is only one remaining square. It has to be 9. 9 is not here, 9 is not here, 9 is not here. There's only one place. So even though we wrote in candidate 8, we know now that that is a 9 for sure. And so that's it. We've finished with all of the possible numbers. Now you'll notice a couple of things. First of all, we had a pair of 8s, and we have just put in a number in that location with a pair. So if it's not here, it has to be here. So first of all, you know that that's going to be 8. The other thing you'll notice is that we finished all of the numbers, and there's, look, only a number 1 here and only a number 2 here. So it has to be 1 or 2. It can't be anything else in these squares. So there are a few things that we know here. So first up, we just filled in a pair of an 8. So we know that the 8 has to go here like this. We know number 1 is by itself, and number 2 is by itself. It's the only possible candidate like that. So that's a good beginning. Now there's an extra step that we need to do. Because we have filled in the 2 in this region, we have to remove the candidate to here, like so. We have to cross that out, erase it if you're using a pencil, cross it out if you're using a pen. And so we have 5, 6, 5, 6. These are our pair, like we had 6, 8, 6, 8 in this row. We have 5, 6 here, but we don't know which is which. We can't tell yet. We will find out later. Okay, where to go next? Well, all of this top right doesn't have there's not much filled in. This region only has one number at the beginning, right? So there are quite a few missing. So you might think, oh, I don't think I'll begin here. I'll begin here. But a good technique is really to just let your eye float around in case you see anything. Look along the columns and rows. That's really what you're doing. I can see something immediately. I can notice that number 1 goes up this column, and I notice that number 1 goes up this column here, and I also notice that number 1 is in this row. So I see that's blocked, blocked, blocked. There's only one possible location for 1, and so it can come here. So even though there weren't many squares filled in there, and you might not think that's a good place to begin, it can be if you cast your eyes around and don't get stuck or bogged down in one location. Just move your eyes around. Now, since we've filled in a number 1, it might be possible to fill other number 1s in. And in fact, we have 1s in every other region, don't we? We have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So the only region we don't have a number 1 is here. We must know what it is because we have 1s in every other segment. So we have 1s extending up in this column, 1s in this column here, blocked, blocked, 1s across the top that we just filled in, a 1 has to appear here, like so. Okay. Now, something else that hits my eye immediately, and may hit yours, is that this column now has 2 numbers missing. Right? 2 numbers missing here. And we know that it was a 5 or a 6 here, and so actually, because there are only 2 numbers missing, this also has to be a 5 or a 6. Consider the logic. There are 9 squares, 5 or 6 can't appear here, so therefore 5 or 6 is a candidate here, and so therefore 5 or 6 has to be a candidate here. We can double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 might be here or here, 6 might be here or here, 7, 8, 9, the others are here. So this is a 5 or a 6, but we can see very close to it, and this is what I mean by things catching your eye. There's a 6 very close to this. So what does it mean? It means this square cannot be 6, because 6 can only appear in this row 1 time. So we know that that's going to be a 5, and we know that this has to be a 6. It can't be a 5 now. We've got 5. And here we had our pair. We've eliminated the 6, and so 5 can come in here, like so. Right. Okay, is anything else? Yes. So let's continue in this. We have a few numbers filled in, and we have quite a few numbers pointing towards this. So I think let's continue in this region. We have a 2 here. We have 1 now. When we consider the number 2, we can see we have it in this column. It's blocking this column here. No 2s are allowed here, here, or here. We have a 2 across here in this row. So we are blocking, therefore that has to be 2. Nothing else is possible. Okay. Right. Next number missing is 3. Oh, sorry. We have. Apologize. We have 1 number missing in this column now, and so of course we must know what it is. That would be the best place to go next. We know it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have 6, 7, 8, 9 we have, so it's a 6 that's missing, and so a 6 will be here, like so. Alright, there are 3 numbers missing here, and let's consider which numbers are missing from this segment. 1, 2, 3 is missing, 4 is missing, 5, 6, 7, 8 is missing. So missing numbers are 3, 4, 8. Got that? 3, 4, 8 missing. When we look along here, we can see a 4 and a 3 in the same row. 4, 3 in the same row. And here we have 4, 3, and 8. So we know that it's not 4, it's not 3, it has to be 8. We've just written in. The next step would be, do we see 3 and 4 very easily? No. Nothing else blocks 3 or 4. So we could write in them as candidates. So 3 and 4, 3 and 4, like so. We can do that. But the 8 is a number we just filled in, and so that might be a good place to look next. So we filled in this 8. We see an 8 already here. 8 is blocking this bottom row. 8 is blocking this central row. There's an 8 down here. So blocked, blocked, blocked. That has to be an 8, doesn't it? Okay, now let's look down. 8's going down, blocking here. 8's going up, blocking here. Are there anything... So we know 8 can be here or here. Does anything tell us? No, because here 6 or 8, 6 or 8. So we don't know. So we're going to fill in candidates 8 and 8 like that. Alright, where to look next? Well, there are 2 numbers missing in this row. Maybe we'll find out what they are. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is missing. 6, 7, 8, 9. So 5 and 9 are the missing numbers. 5 and 9 are missing here or here. Let's look around. 5. Aha! There's a 5 in this column. That can't be a 5, can it? So therefore we know that 5 is here, and that means that 9 must go here. 5s actually have finished now. We've done all of the 5s. 9 we just filled in. So let's look down and see if that 9 helps us in any way. So we extend down. There's a 9 here. We extend up. So blocked, blocked. There's a 9 here. That's blocked. So blocked, blocked, blocked. This is the only possible location for 9. Okay, hope you're following along with this. What else? Well, maybe this column now has 2 numbers missing. We might be able to find out what they are. We have 1, 2. Do we have a 3? No, we don't have a 3 here. 4, 5. Do we have a 6? No. 7, 8, 9. So the missing numbers are 3 or 6. So here or here, 3 or 6. Here, does anything tell us whether it's 3 or 6? No. We can't know whether this is a 3 because this is not for sure a 3. It's a 3 or a 4. So we don't know. How about here? Ah, here's something. We know that that's a 3. This 3 blocks us putting a 3 here. So now we know that 3 does come here and 6 comes here to finish this. Now that will help us because we now need to go back and think. So don't try to go forward now. This is a part where we have to kind of retrace a little bit because we had candidates here. We can see that now that we know that that's a 3, that can't possibly be a 3, and there was only one other number, which was 4, so we can fill in the 4 there, and now we know that 4 we've done, we know that's a 3 there. Our 6, okay, if you extend, remember we had a pair, 6 and 8 here, so when we extend this 6 back across this row, we know that can't be a 6, the 6 has to be up here, right, 6 or 8, the 6 is actually up here, that's the 6, and this is the 8. Now if we come back again, you see we're going kind of zigzag here, backwards and forwards, but that's really not how you need to play the game. We had a pair of 8s here, 8 or 8 has to be here or here. We know now that it can't be here because we have an 8 in this row here, and so that is our 8 there. Now importantly, don't forget to remove the candidate, otherwise we'll confuse ourselves later. Where next? There's only one number missing in this row. So 1, 2, is there a 3? No. And if we want to double check, you can see 3's block this row here. So that has to be a 3, like so. Okay, what numbers are missing? 1 we have, 2 is missing, 3, 4 is missing, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 and 4 are missing. Does anything help us with 2 or 4? No, it doesn't. So even though we're almost finished this puzzle, we're almost finished, we're still filling in candidates, and that can sometimes happen. You might think that when you've only got a few numbers left, you don't need to. In fact, you may not need to, but it's a good idea to practice anyway. Where to next? Well, look, this top row has only one number missing, so we can find it for sure. Remember, when there's only one left, we know what it is. 1, 2, 3. Do we have a 4? No. So we know that's going to be a 4. And if we consider the pair that we just filled in, which was 2 and 4, if we extend this 4 down, it can't be. So 4 must come here, 2 must come here. There are only 2 numbers left. We must be able to find them. The missing numbers are, we have 1, excuse me, noises. We have 1, we don't have 2, 3, 4, 5, we don't have 6. So 2 and 6 are the missing numbers. Here's a 2 blocking this. Here's a 6 blocking this. Our Sudoku puzzle is finished and complete. If you want to look around and make sure, you know, as a beginner, you may need to double check, because you'll find when you're a beginner that you might have made a mistake. It can happen when you're an absolute beginner. And sometimes you might end up with more than one of the same number in a particular region because you've made a mistake. That hasn't happened here, but it's sometimes a good idea to just check around and make sure you haven't got any doubles in your completed grid. Okay, And so that is it for today. That's our easy level puzzle for beginners finished. And as you progress and move up the level, try a few more easy puzzles. And as you progress, go up to the more medium and harder level puzzles and learn more and enjoy Sudoku, enjoy life. I forgot to mention, if anything is happening in the world today, I haven't had a chance to look at the news yet. I've been too busy working this morning, but I guess the US is still in flux after its attempted, what's the word, insurrection maybe? Is that the least controversial word? And polarizing events, let's put it like that. Thank you. Let's hope the world is a saner place tomorrow. I'll see you again. Thank you very much.